Vadori, and I'm an author, a book coach, and an editor. And welcome to this week's episode of Inspired Writing, where it's my mission to give you guys, all you writers out there, all the exact information that you need to finish that book that you are working on right now, and also build the amazing, amazing writing life that you will love. Today, we are going to talk all about book ideas, because one of the biggest questions I get from writers who come to me is, I don't know, I have this book idea, right? You guys are probably here because you have an idea for a book and you want to know, is the book idea that I have good? Is it good enough to write a whole book? Is it something that people are going to want to read, right? So here's a little thing that I want to tell you, and that is that I get people all the time sending me little notes or messages, or people that I meet at a cocktail party or in a park or wherever you are, and they find out that you're a writer and they say, I have this great idea for a book. Maybe you can use it, right? And they try to give me their book idea. Well, here's the thing that most writers, and if you're watching this episode, you probably already have this issue. You have so many ideas, you have no idea what to do with them all. And that is super common for writers, that you have lots and lots and lots of ideas, and you're wondering if that one idea is the right one to write. And so once you open the floodgates, you might have one idea to start. And then you open the floodgates, you get all these prompts, you start looking around the world, you think about, oh my gosh, I could write about this, I could write about that, I could write about that. So how do you know which one to pick? The first thing that I want to tell you guys is take some pressure off yourself, because that book idea that you have, that idea for that one story that you want to tell, that is not what's going to make or break your book. Believe it or not, and I'll say it again, the idea that you have is not what's important about your book. It isn't, okay? Because here's the thing, is you could have an idea and you could tell it to me and say, Suzy, write that book. And I could say, yeah, why don't you write that book too? And I can even give us each the same exact outline, and we would go away into our separate corners of the world, and we would write that book, and it might be completely different. In fact, every sentence would be different. There wouldn't be anything the same about your book and my book, even though we might have had the same idea. So I wouldn't worry too much about somebody stealing your idea if you share it, or anything like that. That isn't really an issue, because you want to write a book that only you can write, and the story that only you can tell in your voice with your experience. Okay, so whatever that idea is that you have, you can work with it and create it into something amazing. Think about Seinfeld. Might be dating myself here a little bit, but if you think about Seinfeld, if you guys aren't familiar with it, it was a sitcom in the 90s. It ran into the early 2000s, and it played after Friends on Thursday nights. And the whole shtick behind it was that it's a show about nothing. They didn't have an idea. It's literally a show about nothing, which gave them all kinds of leeway. So don't worry that you have to have this amazing idea. It doesn't have to be different from anything else. It can be exactly the same as somebody else's idea, only you're going to tell it differently and put your own spin on it and make it fresh, right? So if your idea doesn't matter so much and you have a whole bunch of them, how in the world are you going to pick? Well, that's simple, because here's what I talk to most of my students about, my writing students. And when they come to me with lots and lots of ideas and say, I don't know which story to pick, I'm kind of all over here. And then I'm like, oh, what about this? And then I write that. And then I stop, and then I write something else. And so here's my best advice to you guys. Pick one and see it through to the end. Keep track of all those other ideas. I have a little voice note in my phone that I dictate ideas to, so that when I'm looking for an idea later, I can evaluate them all at once, but keep them in a parking lot and work on one at a time. And the one that you want to write about, the one that you should pick, is the one that you are wildly excited about. What's the one that keeps you up at night? What's the one that you can't wait to tell? What's that idea that keeps coming back? And pick something. And if you've got more than one, just pick one. But pick something that you love, because you are going to be writing this book for a long time. I am not here to tell you that you can write a book and get it published and out there in 30 days. That is Some people can do it, but for most writers, the average time is much longer. It's months or years to write a book, and that's okay. So pick something that you absolutely love, that you want to work on, that you want to get out there, because you are going to be spending a lot of time with this idea, and it's going to come back and back and back and back, and you might change and build and add to that idea as you go along. But pick the one that you're the most excited about, the one that lights you up. And then the number 2 thing I would say is make it succinct. So if you've got an idea and I say, hey, what's your idea for a book? And you're like, well, it has this and this. Actually, my son told me a story about this yesterday. He went to see a movie and he was telling me about the story. And he's like, and then this happened and then this happened. And then, but you need to know what happened before this. And that's the plot, right? And then he's like, I'm sorry, I'm telling this out of order. He's 13. And I said, you know what? I actually talk to writers all the time about their books, and that's how they tell the story. It's okay. I can hear it. But your idea for the book, if you can tell it in a short and snappy sentence, and narrow it down, express that idea in one short sentence or a couple of sentences. We don't need the whole plot. It's the idea, right? It's a book about what? It's a show about nothing, right? That's the big idea. So the secret sauce to your book is not the stuff that happens in it. It is not the plot points, right? It is not. It's the journey that your characters take. That's what your book is truly about. So the stuff that happens to them along the way is merely an opportunity for your characters to show you how they feel about something and how they react to something and how they're growing and changing as they go. So it really doesn't matter. The rest is the icing on the cake, right? But your book idea can take place in the Arctic or Timbuktu. You can change the setting, you can change the characters, you can change what happens in the book. But the idea, that idea at the heart of it, that one sentence is the one thing that will drive through, right? But you can change everything else and it will feel completely different. So the moral of this episode is, whatever you do, stop stressing about whether or not your idea is good enough, okay? I'm going to say it again. Your idea, whatever it is going to be great because it's yours and because you can literally make it anywhere at any time and change everything about it and still have that core. So instead, spend the time, get to work. Figure out, what is it that's going to make your book special? What is it that's a story that only you can tell? What can you bring to the table to bring this idea to life in a story that is yours and yours alone? Because the world needs your story and they need you to go and write it so that people around the world can be entertained and they can be moved and they can connect with your story. And so that's what I'm here to say today. If you love inspired writing and you want to learn more tips about how to get your book finished and out into the world, and also about how to build that writing life that you're going to love, then please subscribe to Inspired Writing. I have a weekly newsletter, and you can find out about that at suzyvadori.com. We're also on YouTube and anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts. So come and join us. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And I love hearing from writers. So drop me a comment, drop me a line, find me out there, and let me know if this video inspired you. Until next time.